Good evening. My name's Cameron MacDonald and welcome to episode 24 of Whisky Without the Guff. Tonight we're examining Guff. What we're looking at is something that's become sort of fairly in vogue and I think amongst the whisky fashionistas. You'll recall from about episode 2, 3, 1, somewhere early, I was talking about all the sort of guff that I think people in the whisky business inherited from the wine business. Notes of this and tones of that and, you know, sensations of this, that and the next thing, which is mostly guff. Well, there's another one that's currently in vogue and it's called a neck pour. So what on earth is a neck pour? Well, here's a bottle of Oban 18. Now, if this was full, the bottle would probably be up to there in whisky. So this piece would be described as a neck pour. Now, I'm not quite sure what they mean by a neck pour, but certainly by inference, the thought is that somehow this whisky is inferior to the rest of it. Like in the bottle, this bit that's sitting here is somehow not as good as that bit, or this bit, or that bit, or whatever. This is, of course, guff. For the whisky fashionistas out there, the whisky that was in there, or here, or there, or wherever, it's all identical. Now, to give them a bit of credit, if what they mean by this is that somehow when the whisky was in a bottle, whisky in a bottle will stay, assuming you treat the bottle kindly, don't leave it out in the sun for months on end and stuff. It'll be the same. It's not like wine, and it doesn't get any better in the bottle once it's been stuck in the bottle. This is an Oban 18. So when it was 18 years old, this is what it tasted like. You know, 5 years later, 10 years later, it might be a 38 or 48 in calendar years old whisky, but it's always an 18. It's never going to get older, it's never going to mature. On the other hand, it's not like red wine. If you put red wine, you'll typically have people letting it breathe for a while before they drink it, because they claim it makes the wine taste better. Now, I think there's some validity to this, and I don't know because I'm not a wine guy, but I know that if they drink the wine on day one and there's some left and they leave it overnight, apparently it doesn't taste anything like as good the next day. Well, that's not the case with a bottle of whisky. That whisky is fairly robust, it's going to stay there forever. Now, just like in the wine business where they've invented a term for this, letting it breathe, they're not just opening the bottle and letting the wine breathe, almost like the wine's got a vote on this. These guys are going on about the neck pour as if, you know, it's some bit. Now, if all it was a need for air, what you would find is that everywhere you went, when people got a bottle of malt, if it was the very first pour, they'd have a couple of glasses and they'd be pouring it back and forth from up high and everything to aerate it so that it would taste better. Now, you don't get people doing that. And why is that? If it made a material difference, you would get people doing that. So, I don't even think the fashionistas have an excuse if what they really mean, because they don't define neck pour. But the inference is definitely like somehow that whiskey's different to that whiskey, and that's guff. Guff. Total guff. If it's an aeration thing, you would think they would be solving it or recommending if you just open this, you aerate it somehow or leave it for half an hour or whatever the metric is. That said, I do believe if you were to take whisky and put it, say, in an open bowl and just let it have access to the air, I believe that over time that whisky would not taste as good as the whisky that's been sealed up in a bottle. So if there's too much air getting at it, I think it's going to make a difference. Now, that's what we're going to try and do tonight. Because here we have a decanter. In the old days, people used to use decanters a lot less prevalent now. This particular decanter I think we got as a wedding present hundreds of years ago. It's Caithness glass, which at the time was a really high quality, well thought of glass. Nowadays I think the company still make glass, but I think it's all paperweights and things like that. So in here we've got Oban 18 and in here we've got Oban 18. Now these come from bottles that I bought at the same time in the same place. This one is in a decanter for a variety of reasons, but it's been there for, I would say, 6 weeks, so it's had a fair outing in the air. And I say air because that is obviously a lot less of an air seal than this cork here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take what should be identical drinks and see if people can detect a different smell from them, or a different taste, or all of the above, or none of the above. And without further ado, we'll get on with that. So, see you in just a bit. So this is exciting. Good evening, and welcome to episode 24, I think.
24?
Yeah. 24 good episodes. So tonight, this is really unusual because we're tasting the same whiskey. One of these is Oban 18, which is a lovely drink, out of a decanter, and the other one's Oban 18 out of a bottle. So the only difference is that one's had more air than the other one. And so the question is, do they smell different? Do they taste different? Do they taste identical? If they taste and smell different, is one of them better than the other? So that's what we're doing, and I have no idea which is which, so let's start with number 1. It's only labelled 1 and 2, but
Alright.
we haven't been told which is which, so... Oh, that smells good. Should tell you that Oban 18 is a fine drink. Fine smell too. No. Cool. Any views so far on the smell? I've got one.
I don't think number 2's has as much nose to it as number 1.
Absolutely.
Now, this is really my panel of experts, such as it is, and I happen to agree with them. I think that number 1, I mean, they smell the same. I would think it was the same whiskey, but
This is number 2's much lighter.
number 1 feels fresh. Number 2,
Just a little thinner.
a little stale, I would say. So my betting would be number 2. Now watch this. This is where I become famously wrong. And from now on, drink everything out of a decanter.
Well, but the important thing is that they're different.
Yes.
Right? So then it becomes a matter of personal taste
but
as to which you like.
But it's curious that uniformity of opinion. I mean, we could be wrong, but everybody had the same comment. Number 1 seems...
Could be wrong, but we're going down together.
Yeah.
So I'm going to taste them in reverse order. I'm going to taste number 2 first. Still a nice drink.
Yeah, I was going to say, very tasty, whatever it is.
Nice drink. I taste some more. Yeah, even if that was, I mean, that might be the bottle, I don't know, but if that was all we had, I'd be saying that's a nice drink, nice whiskey. This does seem more lively. On the nose anyway. And even from a taste point of view, although I've just had this other one, number 2, but it's got a little more bite to it, a little further into the taste, I think. What do you guys think?
That one?
Number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It has a
This
richer
is-
taste,
yeah.
I think.
This is,
Number 2 somehow seems a little paler compared to that. So whether that's in a decanter or a bottle, that's the one I prefer.
So we're all, right, so we see a difference. And we prefer number 1.
agreed.
Yep, totally agree.
Okay, great. Thank you.
My job here.
It's as simple as that. Now we'll get the girls here and we'll
See
see
what
what
they
they
say.
make of all this. So this is Aileen and Kim, and they're about to repeat what Steve and Stu did. Or Stu and Steve, I guess, in the order of the camera. So one of those is, they're both identical whiskies, they're both open 18.
Okay.
One's from a decanter, it's got a little more air than the one out of the bottle. So the thing here is, when you smell them, do you smell any difference in them? Or would you know these were the same whiskey? Would you know they're different? If they're different, which one do you prefer? One or two?
Okay.
So, have at it.
Sniff away again.
Which one are you going for
I'm
first?
going to go for one
One.
first, yeah.
Okay, here's my one. Did I like Open 18?
I think so.
Did I?
I think
Open
so.
18's a nice drink.
Really?
Well, I'd say there's a lot more fragrance to number one. To me, it's a stronger smell.
So I'm not copying you, but I
You think
did.
so too?
I did it.
Yeah. I mean, like amazingly so. Doing
Yeah.
one, like, oh yeah, that's good. And then two.
Yeah, this one seems tamer. Like,
Hmm.
is that a word in whiskey talk?
Never mind whiskey talk.
Okay. Okay.
And don't mention butterscotch.
I do notice a difference. I find this one lighter, and just based off of smell,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would like it better too. Because to me, it's not as strong.
Okay.
Okay, so
Smell-wise.
so you both think number one is
Different.
the better, or it's
Um,
maybe not better. It's more pungent, or
yeah.
okay.
That's
so
a good word.
have a drink and see what you think of the taste.
Did I put them down right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the one.
As good as
Really?
that.
Did I like it?
So one eye.
Okay. So it tastes strong.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little more. I tend to always use the word wersh, but.
So this doesn't mean that because of the whiskeys, but hang on just a second. that had nothing to do. Just a tickle. Sorry, you're gonna have to knock that out. I still have it.
So what were you about to say before you staggered off stage fright and
Stage right. I don't remember.
I don't particularly like this one, which is funny.
Number
'cause
two.
They are the same.
so you can taste the difference
Yeah.
in them as well.
Maybe it was that one. I got tears. Just because of the tickle. Not because of the drink.
So I much prefer number one. Taste wise, aftertaste wise, smell
Which
wise.
do you want to taste number one again because you sort of staggered
Yeah,
off?
well,
Like I'm not quite sure if you concluded anything.
yeah, you can always rely on me for a different spin.
It's Kim providing entertainment.
Kim telling us how she really feels.
I still got a tear coming down. See, I would say 2.
You prefer to?
Yeah. I do find it lighter.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the smell was lighter. I just have a straight tear. The smell was lighter to me, and also the taste is lighter.
Okay.
Okay. And I prefer one, I guess, because the taste is stronger
Right.
and the smell is
So
stronger.
which do you think is
Which
the
do I
bottle?
think is the
and
bottle?
which is the decanter?
Oh, I thought we were doing neck pours. Is that what it is? Oh, I'm way off.
No, it's decanter or bottle?
These are two.
What?
They're both Open 18.
Okay.
One is in a bottle and one is in a decanter.
Hmm.
And the only difference in these whiskies, they were bought at the same time in the same place. The only difference in them is one has been in a decanter for a while and it's probably been exposed more to the air.
Okay, in saying that, I think this one is the decanter then. Two.
Okay.
Hmm.
What do you think, Ellie?
I should maybe have had a sniff at the bottles before I came.
So what's
I should maybe have had a sniff at the bottle. I would say two is the decanter.
you are both correct,
Oh, so it does make a difference.
apparently.
So I know
Because
that-
not only did you guys get that, but the guys uniformly could smell a difference and could taste the difference and thought number one, which when I looked at Aileen's little note over there, was the bottle.
Oh, so all four of, including myself.
5. Everybody,
Oh, you
did?
everybody
Same
said
as well?
the same, and the only reason you liked, I think, the decanter one was just because you like things like Auchentoshan, and you like a much
The-
milder whiskey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's really not got to do with more air or less air, it's just milder tasting.
Yeah.
And
And
I
I
would
could tell
express
that
it,
by the smell.
yeah, I
so
would
I thought I
express it
would
more
like
like
that.
it's more like spent. Like it's not as lively.
Oh. It's hot back here.
It's your scotch
It
and
wouldn't be-
lights.
it
So maybe that's it.
Wouldn't be the
Wouldn't
drink.
Well, thank you both
I
very
didn't
much
really
indeed.
drink that much here. Well, with,
Take it
I
with
gotta
you.
drink them. Then.
Yeah,
Take
she's
them
taking a
downstairs.
healthier pull on them than
Well,
you.
yeah, because this is the one that I like the better out of them.
Yeah.
Open 18?
You could
Open
mix them and
18.
see if there's. Let's try something.
See, finished.
Looks like that.
Oh, yeah. Whew. That's very warm now. Finished that one.
So that's not bad. I mix them together. I guess it depends too how long they've been in the decanter.
How long was it in the decanter?
I'd say about 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
But what prompted this is I was having a drink of the stuff out of the decanter and I thought, this is kind of flat.
Oh,
I
see,
thought
well,
this
I
isn't
guess
as
I'm a
good as
flat type
Open
person.
18 should be,
Mm.
which got me thinking along these lines.
What's hot back here? What's the lights and...
Lights, cameras, action.
There's no heat off these lights.
No,
Oh. Aren't you hot?
reasonable. Well, I'm not hot. No, comfortable.
It's the whiskey. It's an emergency. It's a medical aid.
Oh.
If you were
So if I
frozen.
was stuck in a snowbank, I would want
Precisely.
whiskey with
Oh,
me.
your little,
Precisely, yeah.
little flask.
Flask.
Call on the Saint Bernard to come along.
Is it
because,
true? That's
wine-
true. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That's great.
Well, in conclusion, I think if you're a whiskey fashionista and you go rabbiting on about neck pours, you got to understand there's no such thing. I mean, there is figuratively or literally, but it's the whiskey at the top of the bottle is not inferior to the rest of it. It's identical. Now, if what you mean by a neck pour is that whiskey, that the first whiskey out of the bottle has never been associated with air seriously for a long time, then you might have a point. And you might even have a point if you've got such a tremendously delicate palate or sensitive palate or trained palate that whiskey, somehow offends your delicate sensibilities when you pour it at first. If that's the case, my advice to you would be pour the whiskey and let it sit for a wee while. On the other hand, you don't want to let it sit forever. And by that, I don't mean like 20 minutes or so. Clearly from this experiment here, even people who don't drink whiskey can tell the difference between the same whiskey where it's been exposed to air and where it hasn't over a longer period of time. So that's quite informative. What that means to me is, if you have a whiskey like this, here's a wee Glenrothes with not much left in the bottle. So that amount of whiskey has been exposed to this amount of air for quite a while. So this is targeted for drinking. You don't want to let your whiskey get to that stage. You want to, if you drink it quick, none of this makes any sense at all. If you don't want to let it get too low in the bottle. So drink that in preference to something else you've got. So that was, to me, very informative. Next week, we're doing something more exciting than otherwise. So please give us a like and subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll get to catch up with what we're doing next week. Just to show you, as a motto, get out and drink. This isn't an idle threat. Next week, in fact, 1 week today, we're getting on the plane and we're going off to Scotland. And we're going to visit Islay and Jura. We're going to, I think, go into every distillery that's currently operating in Islay. Have a wee dram. And we're also going to tour the Glasgow and the Edinburgh whisky pubs. And some beautiful pubs coming up, so just some ideal pubs. And if you want to know what a whisky pub versus a normal pub looks like, I'll explain that as we go along, because we're going to be filming all of this. In the meantime, get out and drink, and thank you for your attention. Bye for now.